Anthropic released Claude Opus 4.8 this week. I used it to predict the entire 2026 World Cup before a ball is even kicked, using peer-reviewed football forecasting research summarised in NotebookLM. It's the least hyped World Cup in a generation. I had to do something to jazz it up a bit. Today in this video, I'm going to show you my three-pronged approach. Number one, research, Elicit AI to find scientific studies on sports prediction, and NotebookLM to extract the models into digestible chunks. Number two, data, fixtures, results, match stats. And finally, number three, synthesis, a Claude Opus 4.8 project with a custom system prompt that ties this all together. The outcome? We're going to have a full bracket with a predicted winner in this video, all from the group stages all the way through to the final. This is the launch of the World Cup AI prediction series with round-based follow-ups across the tournament. Who's going to win? Let's get into it. Into Claude, and first thing I'm going to do is create a project for this. I'm just going to call it World Cup Predictor. And in here, we are going to give it some instructions. Just copy and paste this in. I will put these down and the prompts in the description down on the bottom so you can have a look and take them. So sports forecasting analyst, you've got access to peer-reviewed studies, data, and this is what I want it to do. So I'm going to save those instructions. Right, so nice and easy. Step one complete. We've set up our project within Claude. We've got Opus 4.8 already set up here, ready to go. We've got the instructions. Now all that's missing is some project files that I want. So I'm going to come over to Elicit AI, and what this does is it enables you to easily search for and find actual scientific studies and papers. And so what I'm going to look for here is actual scientific and peer-reviewed studies that talk about best practices for sports prediction and sports modelling. Hopefully there's some AI-specific stuff in here, but we'll find out. I'm going to type in my research question here. And then let's see what it comes out with. Okay, so it's got some basic ideas here. So if I come all the way down here, it's going to give me my 6 cited sources, which is exactly what I want. Full text available. That is perfect. So if I right-click on these sources, then let's get these open. Amazing. So here is source number 1, and I can download the PDF straight away. That is amazing. It's good to find a good range of sources from Elicit. Some of the studies you'll find are behind paywalls, but a good majority of them are free to access, and you'll be able to download the PDFs relatively quickly. So there we go. So that's who we've got downloaded. Number 2 downloaded. Number 3, boom, love that PDF download. Great. Number 4, now it's going to actually allow me to actually cover. There we go, print PDF. Job done. Explicit goals, modeling of Bayesian mixed models. Yep, let's have that as well. Thank you very much. Oh, this one's down. That's all good. So that's a good start. So we've got 4 studies now that we can use to feed into our prediction model in Claude. But what's going to make this even more powerful and more reliable is if we can distill the key information from those studies down. So every AI has a context window, and what a context window is basically how many characters, how many words the model can remember in its memory at once. So what we don't want to do is just feed pages of studies in, because it's not necessarily going to be able to remember and use all that information. So I want to distill out the key information that it needs. So for that, we're going to come over to our next tool, which you've seen before on the channel, NotebookLM, which is a free to use tool from Google. You can access it. Again, I'll put all the links for all of this stuff down in the description, and I will put a link to the video I did on NotebookLM and how it helped with my daughter's homework down there as well. So I'm going to create a new notebook, and what NotebookLM will do is it will aggregate all the sources it gives you, and then you can basically create whatever you want. So let me show you here, for example. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to upload all of my studies here. I can see over here, here's the PDFs of the studies. So I'm going to ask it to basically do that and pull out that information for me that I can then feed into Claude. Okay, so it's pulled out and summarized bits for me. It's pulled out the techniques it can use. Amazing, there we go. So I'm going to copy all this out into Word. All right, perfect. So now we're going to come back into Claude, and now we've got those all boiled down nicely. I'm going to add that PDF straight there into files. And there we go, that is layer 1. So we have the foundation set up, we have our project set up within Claude, making sure it's using Opus 4.8. We have our scientific studies, which will help Claude determine the right methodology to run its predictions. So now on to step 2, and that's adding some actual real world data that it can use in its predictions too. So then, as well as the studies, I've also fed it some actual real world football data. The sites I've used I'll put down in the description below, so you can go and check it out for yourself if you're so inclined. But it's data sets from websites here called Kaggle, which has got football results, international football results from just an obscene amount of time, as you can see on the screen there, and just an immense amount of data. So that's going to be fed in. We've got the World Football ELO ratings. So again, this has all been passed and pulled, and that's going to be fed into it, which is just going to improve the model. And then this is footballdata.org, which has got just a heap of information. A lot of it you can get for free as well, which is awesome. We're obviously interested in the World Cup stats. We'll pull all those down, upload them into the project as files, and that is just going to help the model do its job. Ready to go. So this is the prompt I am going to use. So using the study summaries and the data in the project, build a model for predicting the 2026 World Cup. I want to see some of its workings out and reasoning as well. So I'm asking for that. State what they've done, apply it to each group, and then the full knockout bracket, the finalists and the winner. Where the studies disagree, say so and explain which one they followed or why. So this is where it's going to be making decisions, because scientific studies are never going to all be exactly the same and all agree in the same methodologies. That's absolutely fine. That's why we have multiple of them. So what I'm asking us to do is, where there's a contradiction or where there's two different approaches, I'm asking it to make a decision and then tell me why it's made that decision. I'm excited. Who do you think? Is this England's year? Hard to argue against France though. They are dominant at the moment as well. That team is just ridiculous. Right, let's go. Okay, Claude Opus 4.8 has come back. Let me show you what it did, who it picks, then where it told me it might be wrong. Because it did tell me, and that's the bit you don't usually get from older models. First of all, the working. The model didn't pick just one academic approach and run with it. It built a composite of all three of them. Pre-match probabilities from the research, ELO ratings for team strength, the Poisson model for goal expectations, and then the reasoning it's given is super interesting. The 4 studies all suggested different best algorithms, and the model just said, and I'll read this, the disagreement itself is the argument for it. Now that's not a thing I told it to say, that's the model reasoning about the literature. The 2 studies that compared ensembles against their own best single model both found the ensemble won. So Claude went with the ensemble, following the science. Now groups, 12 groups, top 2 plus 8 third best teams go through. The model's most confident about Spain, Brazil, Argentina, England, all comfortably top of their groups. It's analysed at the bottom that Group D is going to be the tightest. Turkey, USA, Paraguay and Australia. Nobody above 37%. The model says that is where it is least confident. Now, the knockout bracket. And to be straight here, this is where the model had to use more of its own reasoning, because the bracket's not drawn yet. The data's not there. So it's taken its first level of predictions and moved it on. So Claude's built it out by seeding the top qualifiers into a separate draw, advancing the favourites as each. It's illustrative, and it's best he can do at this point. The proper number, however, is the probability one. So we can see, so it's run the full tournament simulation 20,000 times, redrawn the bracket each time. So the top 3, Spain to win the World Cup with a 30% chance, Argentina 21, France 12, England 8. Now, here's the bit I like the most, and one of the key things in the release notes for 4.8 was its build as being the first model that is openly honest with you. It will push back and it will say where it's wrong or where it's not sure, whereas previously models would hallucinate facts and just make stuff up. So it's given me a where this could be wrong option at the bottom here, and which is good. So it's flagged that the Spain pick is a load bearing one based on the data it's using, and then finally it's rounded itself out with this line down here. The composite is well grounded in the literature and concordant with the market. It's not been proven out of the sample on the thing that is predicting. So essentially it's saying it's done its best with the data it's got, but there's a lot of factors that go into this. To make this slightly easier to digest, I've then gone on to ask it to create a visual interactive chart for me, which it has done gloriously over here. So we can see the group stages. It's got the list of predictions, see where everybody's going to finish. So you can see down here, Group D was the one it was most unsure about, and you can see the percentages reflect that. Turkey to win it, USA to come runner-up. England to win their group, but it's tight with Croatia there. And then we can go over to the knockout bracket and we can see Spain all the way through, knocking out England in the semi-final with a slightly unflattering 70% chance of beating us there. And then a 57% chance of beating Argentina in the final. So not massive odds, but still good. So that is Claude Opus 4.8 prediction. Spain to lift the trophy, Argentina to lose in the final, and France and England to suffer heartbreak in the semi-finals. But the most honest line in this whole document is this one, which I'll put up on the screen. The most likely champion still loses about 70% of the time. And that's the experiment. Like, at this point, this is the worst data that we'll have all tournament. No matches have been played, no group form, no shocks, anything like that. There could be injuries from here to there. The models work with qualifying results and academic research, and it told me where it might be wrong without having to ask. So what we'll do is round by round, we'll come back and I'll put out some shorts with better data each time. We use the same method, the same model, the same project we've set up. And as we feed it more data, we should hopefully see those results and predictions getting more accurate as we go along. So if you want to see how this holds up when the football actually starts, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that line so you don't miss any of the shorts that come out in the series. I hope you've enjoyed this. Who takes the World Cup for you? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. Stay peachy.